The built environment is now evolving so rapidly. And from our point of view, we have number of clients, many of them the Fortune 500. What we see is that pretty much every enterprise is now developing into a digital enterprise, which means they are deploying an integrated solution which actually depends on getting lots of data. And the data comes from the inside of the organization, it comes from real-time IoT data and from outside application. And there's a throughput of the data which actually results in the building intelligence and analytics. So these are the company which are our clients. Both the input and the output is more data intensive. So this company will be more and more dependent on the speed and latency of the data. We see the whole kind of a development of the 5G environment and the sort of the evolution of the LRT, being part of this continuum of the whole intensification and densification of the data.
Absolutely agree with everything you just said. The key here to me is digitalization of the buildings and the whole telecommunications, connectivity, interoperability. To me, inside buildings, it's really the next utility. It's the fourth utility. And it's all about the user experience, right? And bringing value to the building owners. If they can reduce costs through the use of all the data that we're talking about here in the analytics, and they can increase their revenue by adding value-added services and capabilities, it's a win-win for everybody in the built environment.
Absolutely.
We're doing a lot of cross-industry collaboration right now. This is new to a lot of industries. So talking about networking and interoperability and the 26 different wireless technologies that can possibly go in a building right now is a completely new experience for an architect or designer in that whole industry. So we're able to bring everybody together in the ecosystem and talk about it and get to a common language, because words in one industry are completely different in another industry. So TIA is leading the way with our work group, building the language, building the assessment capabilities of how do you know what a smart building is, what's the definition, and then how are you able to measure it. So a lot of activity there in the ecosystem.
I would absolutely agree, and I think we are, with the smart buildings where we were with the green buildings about 10 years ago. For example, what we look at primarily is the energy management and the building analytics and diagnostics. So, one of our activities is actually making the building smart so we can analyze the operation of the building, reduce some of the cost in preventive maintenance, for example, because we can actually spot some of the issues even before they become problems. So lots of the stuff which has been done by building commissioning, for example, we can do in real time. Things like set points or the efficiency of the boiler or the efficiency of the chiller, and by linking those to work orders, we can actually instruct the building operators to deal with some of these issues. We are also looking at what we call the human experience, which is actually what's happened in the interior of the building, the control of the indoor environment, how much the occupants or the tenants of the building can control the temperature or indoor air quality or the lighting, the noise, and lots of the other productivity issues like wayfinding. Those are the things which are making the life more comfortable, healthy, and productive in the buildings.
First one is public safety. In-building coverage is key, and then the capabilities of what can be done with that in-building coverage. So location-based, finding somebody that may be on the third floor in a stairwell if there's a fire in the building. I think the biggest thing is the emergency responders can move from a process today where their number one goal is to get in, stabilize, get the person out, and get them to a care facility. Where with this environment, with the technology and 5G, they'll have enough bandwidth and capability to actually start providing care on site. They can hook up data analyzers and provide that information back to the care center and interact with doctors, not only in the building but on the way. So I think that is a huge opportunity to improve safety and health.
That is a very good point. We have lots of buildings where in everywhere where the recent disasters were, New Orleans, Puerto Rico, New York. So we actually experience the emergency response in all those climate change related disasters. And, I think we're just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is going to, it's going to increase. So we really got to be ready for that kind of a resiliency and improve the way the first responders can relate to the buildings, can find out what's happening in the buildings. For example, in Fairfax County, they're losing firemen because the buildings are now built much more from flammable materials. If they don't know what's happening in the building, then the firemen go through the floor, and so this kind of a capabilities you mentioned are very important from that point of view. So that's just kind of one of the aspects of the 5G.
We launched our smart building program exactly 1 year ago at this event last year. And we had very good response, and this is our community. So this is the community that's talking about small cells and DAS. Those are important inside a building. To achieve that communication we were just talking about, we're going to have to put in those types of systems along with many other opportunities. So this event gets everybody in the industry together. We're able to talk about it. We're able to put plans together. And yesterday, for example, we created some new ideas so that we can now go back and work those, and we're excited about it. So, thank you. And
I'm one of the users. So, for me, lots of this stuff is kind of a new stuff. And so I'm kind of drinking from the fire hose here. But, it's a tremendous learning opportunity, what's coming down the pipeline, so we can be ready.